بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Excuse me. So inshallah, we are going to take rule number 1. As I said, you can follow, there's in the same website, if you take the English section, the Manasik al-Hajj is there, and most of the stuff is translated there. That's why I'm not putting an English text in front of me. It's good that you try to tally whatever is in Arabic, I'm explaining it, and with whatever is translated. So in case if you find any problems in or variances from what I said and what is there in that English translation of Manasik al-Hajj, you let me know so we can notify the office of Ayatollah Sistani Damadullah about that problem or that error or that wrong choice of difficult choice of words which might give different meaning. So that's why you can follow the English Manasik al-Hajj, and I will just go rule by rule from the Arabic text, the original one by itself. Ruling number 1. وجوب الحج بعد تحقق شرائطه فوري. Obligation of Hajj after the fulfillment of the conditions of obligation. Remember, Hajj is wajib, but it is legislated. In Ilm al-Usul, we studied that the wajib has 2 levels, the legislation and the activation. So the legislation is like every Muslim must perform Hajj. Initial obligation, primary obligation, initial, let me not say obligation, let me say legislation of obligation. And any legislation, even in the intellectual society, becomes activated after the conditions of legislation are fulfilled. Let's take, for example, let's take rules of citizenship. So there's a rule which says everyone who stays 5 years in certain country, for example, he gets the citizenship of that country. That is legislation. However, there are conditions. So there are people, they stay for 8 years, 9 years, 20 years, and they don't get the citizenship of that country. Why? Because they have not fulfilled the conditions of that rule or legislation to be activated upon them. The moment they fulfill the conditions, then it becomes activated. And if the country was fair country, just country, and not biased, not anti-Islamic country, they will give that person a citizenship if he was a Muslim, for example, because many times some countries are biased, anti-Muslims. So they don't give them citizenship easily, but other than Muslims, they give them, even though the conditions have been fulfilled. So that is the corruption in implementing the laws. But if there is no corruption, if the Muslim has fulfilled his conditions and obligations and he's paid his taxes for 5 years, then the legislation says that that person should get his citizenship. Excuse me. So that is the activation legislation. Another rule. Rule says that anyone who drives negligent with negligence and goes over the speed limits, he will get a ticket, fine, punishment. That is a legislation. Punishment is a legislation. However, somebody goes and then if he has not done it intentionally, and there was some kind of excuse, then he raises his issue to the court so that the judge can drop the fine. So the judge looks at the conditions. If the conditions of punishments are there, he was negligent, he was alert, he was attentive, and the police was in a distance that police can be seen by the driver, all those legislations, then the judge will say no, he will activate the punishment upon you. God forbid. So this is the legislation active. Similarly, similar to whatever we find in intellectual society, we find in Islam. So, so Hajj has a legislation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the Hajj legislation, as we saw in this rule. Yes. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has indicated in the ayat, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حَجُّ الْبَيْتِ. It is for Allah upon the people. Okay? And we said abundant of narrations. So Allah has made legislation. But is it obligated upon a Muslim child? He's a Muslim, but he's a child. No. One of the condition is that he needs to reach the age of adolescence. Number two, many people, they are Muslims, but is Hajj wajib upon them? No. One of the condition is that he needs to have the ability we mentioned last night. Financial ability, social ability, that means he doesn't have any family responsibilities, that he needs to be beside his children and wife cannot not take care of the children by herself, and he cannot then travel until he makes certain arrangements that the wife will be, somebody will be with his wife, okay, or the husband needs her, so she has money or he has money. But then there is a social barrier here. Social ability is not there, or the moral ability or work related. So you are working in a job, and in a job there is a kind of requirement that if you travel, you need to apply ahead of time. And they tell you, if we do not have any problem in approving your leave, you can go. Okay. So what if the boss says no? There's so many people, like for example, if Hajj was in the time of Christmas, so what if the boss says no, you can't go now? Why? Because many people are on vacation. So in that case, what will happen? You don't have ability. You have money. Your wife doesn't have anything. She says you can go. You are free. Your mom, your dad, your children, but your job says no. That means no. So basically, the condition of being able to, from different aspects, from all the aspects. Okay, you are able to, but you are able to in the month of Rajab. The month of Rajab is not a season of Hajj. When does the Hajj become obligated? In a time enough for you to perform Umrah Tamattu. Remember, we said that there's Umrah and there is Hajj. Umrah is wajib on every Muslim. Hajj is wajib on every Muslim. So if you are not able to go Hajj, you have to go for Umrah. All the conditions of ability and everything which are there that activates the Hajj, those conditions, they activate the Umrah. The only difference is that the time of Hajj is the 9th of Dhul Hajj. So if you are able to, ability, everything, and you're able to travel, there in a time where you have, like, you arrive there 8th Dhul Hajj, 9th Dhul Hajj in the morning, you complete your Umrah. And Dhuhr, you are in Arafat. So you see that time, so it's the time. So before that, Hajj is not wajib. Hajj is wajib upon you in a time that you reach there in a way that you are able to attend the stay in Arafat. So before that, you have to perform Umrat al-Tamattu. And if for some reason your Umrat al-Tamattu was missed accidentally, then we said everyone should do one Umrah and one Hajj on the ability. So you can do it after your Hajj. You can do Umrah Mufrada. Like many times the rules of ladies, you can see that the Umrah is there because it's wajib and she's there. So Hajj is an obligation, Umrah is an obligation, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Dakhalat al-Umratu fil Hajj," like and he intertangled his fingers together. That means Hajj and Umrah has entered into each other. That is Umratul Tamattu. But as I mentioned, if you do not have any chance for Umratul Tamattu, Hajj Tamattu, okay, Hajj with Umrah, and you have chance for Umrah, then you have to go Umrah. Okay? And when you go Umrah, you have to learn the ahkam, the rules of Umrah. You don't go like a picnic, as I mentioned. Anyhow, we come to back to the so Umrah can become activated anytime in the whole year if uh, all the conditions are uh, there. Then Umrah becomes wajib. Umrah becomes obligated. Hajj, not any time in the year. That time which allows you to go to Makkah and perform Umrah al-Tamattu and then Hajj al-Tamattu. And the farthest time you can stretch is 8th of Dhul Hajj, you arrive there, or even 9th of Dhul Hajj early in the morning if you are able to arrive in Makkah, 1.5 hour Umrah, and then you just make the intention after Taqsir. You make the intention of the Ihram. You have the same attire. You don't have to go and change. So you finished your Safa and Marwa. You did the Taqsir, and now you make the intention. You come beside Hajar Ismail and make the intention of Hajj, Ihram of Hajj. You see, so the wajib time, because most of the wajibat they have time, like salat. Salat is not obligated, but when the dhuhr time comes, salat al-dhuhr becomes activated. But is it wajib upon us to pray salat al-dhuhr? Yes. So it is a legislation. Excuse me. However, it becomes activated. So this in ilm al-usul you studied legislation activation. So Hajj has a time. Hajj has conditions of obligations. If those conditions are fulfilled, then Hajj becomes wajib. And that is what Sayyidi Sistani is trying to say here in these two words. وجوب الحج بعد تحقق شرائطه, obligation of the Hajj after the fulfillment of its condition is fawri, instant, immediate, no delay. You cannot delay. But when? As long as you are able to arrive in Makkah and perform Umrah al-Tamattu. And we said the maximum time is 9th Dhul Hajj. But if you know that you are not going to be able, you will not be able to make it to 9th Dhul Hajj, you have to arrange before. So you have to. So that is fawri. Fawri doesn't mean that in Dhul Hajj you have in Dhul Qa'd you have the capacity, go immediately. No. Fawri means instantaneousness, means here that you have enough time to reach there. You are able to get the ticket. If you are not able to get the ticket on 9th Dhul Hajj or 8th Dhul Hajj, but you have on 5th Dhul Hajj, get it on 5th Dhul Hajj. But it's early, yes, but that's the time you can be there, and you have to be there. It's wajib upon you. So you have to choose a flight or a route. The last flight you can get, that flight is wajib. Before that, if there are flights, those flights are mustahab. But the neck point, the narrowness, the more it becomes narrow, and you know that after that there is no way you are able to be in Makkah, then because most of the flights are packed on 7th, 8th, and 9th Dhul Hajj. Most of, because there are people in Persian Gulf, they do Hajj Sariya, Hajj fast Hajj. Okay, Hajj Sariya, fast Hajj, means they arrive there 8th, they do their Umrah on 8th, or they arrive there 9th, they do their Umrah on 9th, and Dhuhr 9th, they are in Arafat, and on 12th, after they pelt their shaitan, they're back to their hometown. So 3 days they are in Saudi Arabia, you see, or let's say Makkah, 3 days they are in Makkah. So they arrive on 8th or 9th. So let's count 9th, the first day, 10th, 11th, 12th. So 12th, you can leave. So 12th, you can take a flight at night because Dhuhr, you are done 12th of Dhul Hajj. So 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 3 days. Let's go, say 1 day going, 1 day coming. So 5 days. So they call it Hajj Sariya. But if you are there in Gulf, the flights is 1.5 hours, 2 hours to Jeddah. So then you can just arrive in the morning and 12 leave at night. So that makes it 3 days. So that is called Hajj Sariya. But for those people who are first timers, I would not recommend that they try to take the chance of Hajj Sariya. Anything can happen. The flight can cancel. The flight is packed, double booking, all those things we have seen it with our eyes. So just give some time, and that time can become obligatory upon you if you are especially you feel that you will not be able to get the tickets, later tickets. So the earliest ticket you get is wajib, even if that was 1 week before Arafat or 5 days before Arafat, because that is your chance. That is the wajib. But if you have two options and you know that the 5th Dhul Hajj you will be able to be there, then you don't have to take the option of 4th Dhul Hajj or 1st Dhul Hajj or 25th Dhul Qa'ad. So this is the difference between when the wajib becomes narrowed. It is not 9th Dhul Hajj. It is whenever you are able to be in Makkah. The farthest date you are able to be in Makkah. If it was 25th Dhul Qa'ad, that's it. But it's like 15 days before. Okay, yes. But do you have any option? Especially if you are going with a caravan and that caravan leaves on 25th and there's no way you can join the caravan after it. So then it is wajib upon you to go with that caravan. You see? So this is the when say the Sistani says fawri, instant, immediate. That doesn't mean when you have capacity, you go. No. Here, instant means whenever you can have the farthest flight, which will for sure, with certainty, booked flight take you in Makkah. So that is the wajib. That means you have to take that. You cannot delay. فَيَلْزَمُ الْإِتْيَانُ بِهِ فِي الْعَامِ الْأَوَّلِ. So it is necessary to perform the Hajj. This year you became able, capacity, you have that for Hajj, ability, you go this year. لِلْإِسْتِطَاعَةِ. So what if you فَإِن تَرَكَهُ فِيهِ فَفِي الْعَامِ الثَّانِي. So if you will not do it this year, then the next year, and so on. If next year you don't do it, the third. So here the ulamas, they have a ruling here. So you have to maintain your capacity. Okay, the money, the permission, all those kind of capacities. Let's say if next year you purchased a car, okay, or somebody did something, or some loss, God forbid, happened, and you had to spend that money. So now you don't have money. Now, fuqaha, they say you have to borrow money and go for Hajj, because Hajj has been activated upon you and you did not go. So you have to do it this year. You see, because it became activated. And once it becomes activated, it cannot become deactivated by losing money. No, it super glues itself on you, you see, so that you perform next year, even by borrowing, even by doing arrangements with your job, with whatever. Take leave without pay. Because last year they gave you leave with pay, but you did not go. So now you have to take leave without pay and go. They tell the boss, I have to go. It's this, that. So unless if there was extreme circumstances did not allow you to go this year, then the year after. So this is how the issue of istita'a is. So فَيَلْزَمُ الْإِتْيَانِ فِي الْعَامِ الْأَوَّلِ لِلْإِسْتِطَاعَةِ. It is necessary to perform the Hajj in the first year of the ability. فَإِن تَرَكَهُ, if he avoids it, does not perform it, if he abandons it, then next year, and so on. Let's complete this rule. وَلَكِنْ فِي فَوْرِيَّتِهِ شَرْعِيٌّ ولكن في كون فوريته شرعية. It's not proven to say this, Sistani. How? He says that fawri, instantaneousness, is two types. One is religious evidence indicates that you have to go. So this is called religious instantaneousness. One is no, intellectual evidences indicate that you have to go. And that is called intellectual instantaneousness. Okay, fawri, shar'i, fawri, aqli. These are all Hausa terms. We said that these sessions are going to be Hausa sessions. Okay, so I'm not teaching you manasik al-hajj only. We're trying to apply the Hausa rules and Hausa analysis. So we have what? Instantaneousness is are of two types. One is religious. So how will we know religious? If the religious evidences, Quran and Hadith, indicate instantaneousness, then you have to, then it is religious. That means you will be punished. You will be punished. And the other one is intellectual. Religious, there is no evidence telling you to go. But the intellectual, they say the Hajj is important and it's a pillar of Islam. And when it becomes wajib, you have to perform it. In case next year you are not able to perform it. So the intellectual concepts, they indicate that if you feel that next year you won't be able to perform it, then perform it this year. Instantaneous intellectual. Because intellectually you feel that you are, that means religious, Shariat, and they don't tell you do it this year. Because there's, for example, there's no religious evidence, for example. But there is chance that you might miss it. So because there is chance that you might miss it, intellect tells you don't miss that chance. Like in any intellectual issues in intellectual society. If you know that you are going to get this house, okay, if you don't take it now, you'll miss it. Your intellect tells you take it now. You have the money, you have everything. Like you're planning to get married, and there's a nice girl. So you know that you can get married next year, but you will not find like that girl. So your intellect will tell you, get it, don't miss this chance. So the intellectual instantaneousness is, intellect tells us don't miss the opportunities you get. The best opportunities you have, don't miss it. And there's no opportunity better than Hajj, being there in Makkah. So Sayyid Sistani says, this instantaneousness, is it religious, as majority of the scholars indicated, or it is intellectual from the basis of precaution, is a precautionary measure that if you don't take it now, you will miss it, you will be deprived, so that your wajib is not interrupted without any excuse, then you would deserve punishment. So he says, now there are two opinions. One is religious, one is precautionary. So we asked Sayyidina, you tell us, you said precautionary. Majority of the scholars, they said, no, majority of the scholars, they said it is religious instantaneousness. And then you said a precautionary. So tell us, what is, we follow you, Sayyidina. Tell us what is your opinion for us. So he says, wajhan, that is also a reliable instantaneousness. This is also an accepted instantaneousness. Ahwatuhuma al-awwal. Okay, based on precautionary measures, whatever the mashhur ulama says, that's a precaution. Yes, do it this year. Wa aqwahuma al-thani. And my fatwa goes with intellectual necessity, that if you might miss it, then just do it today, because you don't know, you might not be able to go, God forbid, the sickness happens, disease happens, this happens. So there are so many things that can encounter you. So my fatwa, not my precaution. He said, ulama, majority ulamas, they say religious instantaneousness. A few ulama, they say, no, it's an intellectual precaution. Sayyidi Sistani says, no. To me, that is not a precaution. That is my fatwa. Intellectually, there are probabilities that might encounter and prevent you from performing the Hajj next year. So do it now. Intellectual fatwa. Fatwa based on intellect. And he says, whatever the mashhur says, that's a religious precaution. Okay. So the mashhur said the religious instantaneousness is precautionary measure. But my fatwa is with the intellectual instantaneousness. So, فَإِذَا لَمْ يُبَادِرْ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ دُونِ الْوُثُوقِ بِإِتْيَانَهِ. So if he did not go immediately for Hajj, okay, and he doesn't have any assurances that he will be able to do it later on, then he will be considered mutajarri. What is mutajarri? Tomorrow we are going to discuss the concept of mutajarri. Mutajarri means, it literally means daring. He dares, he dared to do it. But what is the religious significance? Insha'Allah, we will discuss tomorrow. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله